Are they going to hear you, or should I repeat the questions implicitly?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Let's see. We're here at the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. It's May 21st, 2014, and the hearing subject today was astrobiology. One of the witnesses was Seth Shostak. And Seth, can you just tell me how the testimony went?
Well, there were two of us testifying, mostly about SETI, because that was the focus that the chairman, Lamar Smith, actually wanted. SETI, the search for intelligent extraterrestrial life, not astrobiology in general. And I have to say that while my point of view is somewhat biased, because I was one of the people testifying, I thought that the hearing went well, that the questions that the Congress people posed were good ones, and they took the subject seriously.
Let's see. So a few of the congressmen brought up some pop culture references, like the Ancient Aliens TV show. One of the congressmen brought up Project Blue Book, UFOs, Little Green Men, things like that. Do you think that that sort of thing diminishes from the overall message that you wanted to try to bring to Congress today?
Well, I think the public, of course, is very interested in the idea that we might be being visited now, if you will, the UFO phenomenon. And a substantial fraction of the public thinks that there's truth in that, or at least that there's information that maybe the government is keeping from them. I don't share that view. I don't think that's true. I don't think we're being visited. But that's my personal view. Does it diminish the efforts of the scientific community to do SETI? Honestly, I don't think so, actually. It introduces a sort of, maybe a giggle factor for people who are skeptical about the UFO hypothesis, if you will. But, I honestly don't think that the two diminish one another. I really don't. I mean, nobody comes up and says, you guys have these big antennas and you're trying to eavesdrop on signals coming from other star systems. But I'm not going to support that because these people over here think that saucers are buzzing the countryside. I never hear that argument.
So where is the science community on the topic of UFOs? Is there a clear-cut, definitive answer? Yes, there are UFOs. No, there are no UFOs. There's something. It's psychological. It's sociological.
Yeah. The scientists that I talk with are all skeptical. I think all of them. Is there anybody that I talk to who's not? Except people who are outside the scientific community that I know well, and that's mostly astronomers. They're, overwhelmingly skeptical that we're being visited because they feel that if that were true, then the evidence would be stronger evidence. Most of the evidence is witness testimony, and as has been pointed out many times, witness testimony isn't very good when it comes to science. You don't decide on science or the laws of science on the basis of witness testimony, or even the discoveries of science on the basis of witness testimony. So I think that if we were being visited and somebody were to say, look, here's some physical evidence and we really can look at this carefully, right? That would be considerably more interesting. Some people in the UFO community will say, yes, there is physical evidence. I've never seen any that I found compelling. That's my take on it. And I have to say that's the take of most of the scientists I knew.
During the testimony, I believe you brought up the notion that if we were contacted by if we found an extraterrestrial signal, that the U.S. government supposedly has a contingency plan, or you brought up the fact that there is no plan. Can you elaborate further on that?
Yeah, well, a lot of people write me and they say, what is the government's policy, or NASA's policy, or for that matter, even the SETI Institute's policy, in case you find a signal? Is there a plan to deal with that? And as far as I can tell, there's really no plan. There is a protocol, a small set of documents that was, in fact, put together by a committee. In fact, I chaired that committee for many years, that suggests what the SETI community itself would do in case of finding a signal. It's just a gentleman's agreement. There's no force of law here. The United Nations hasn't said this is what has to happen. Certainly the U.S. Congress hasn't said this is what happens. But all it says is if you find a signal, the first thing you do is you check it out. Then you announce it, and then you don't broadcast a response without getting, the international buy-in, if you will, that the international community is aware and approves of what you're going to do. Okay, that's all pretty non-controversial. So, and yet the public seems to think that there's secret plans in vaults somewhere, the U.S. government or some other governments perhaps, to deal with the contingency in which we actually discover that there's somebody out there. As far as I know, that doesn't exist. It's nice to think about, but it smacks of conspiracy theory. And when you ask people what's the evidence for that, they'll tell you, well, of course, it's secret. That's what's known as an argument from ignorance.
All right, Seth Shostak, thank you very much, and I appreciate the interview.
Thank you.
Yep.